9:27 a.m. April 3rd, 2023. Just created this new YouTube channel. I've had a YouTube channel for over a decade now. Maybe, I don't know, 12 years, 13 years at least on YouTube. But now I've decided to utilize YouTube in a new way for me. Not necessarily for somebody else, but I'm going to start live streaming videos, which I tried to maybe less than 5 minutes ago, and I just had to learn the hard way that you can't live stream unless you have 1,000 subscribers. So I must admit, I was a little disappointed by that. I never tried to live stream on my other channel, which only has maybe 100 and some subscribers, which I don't even know how I have that many subscribers. So I don't even have enough subscribers on that channel to live stream that I've had for 12, 13 years. Oh man, that is hilarious that you have to have 1,000 subscribers, and I've been on YouTube over a decade and I haven't even hit that requirement to live stream. Well, that's not the most important thing, is to live stream. The most important thing is for me to just make this video and put it out, and let this be my first video on my new channel, which is Incompassstandment. Incompassstandment is starting at the middle and working your way out in all directions simultaneously, all at the same time. While you're working your way out, you need to be coming back in, all at the same time. This is Incompassstandment. But you have control of the center of infinity. Incompassstandment is not really something that can really be attained. It's more like a strivation. You know, they say the road to success is always under construction. It's so similar with Incompassstandment. You're trying to achieve a goal that you'll likely never achieve, but you're not sure, so you can't let that stop you. Yeah, I'm gonna start putting out as many videos as possible regarding Incompassstandment, and Incompassstandment is tied in with, okay, you are shedding and you want to get up and you're making my hands so sweaty, but I don't want to let you go. Who can be angry when petting a soft kitty? It's so hard to be angry when you got a loving big old kitten. You ain't no little kitten no more, buddy. All right. So Incompassstandment is tied in with everything. all the religions, synchronizing. Right now we live in an age where everybody, pardon moi, not everybody, and this is what I'm going to address in Incompassstandment, is exaggerating, a hyperbole, the religions. It's all tied in. Incompassstandment, synchronizing, and not everybody, but a strong majority of people are speaking in Babel, and they dwell in the land of Babylon. And what does it mean to dwell in the land of Babylon? Well, it means that if you're not trying to synchronize all, then you're babbling. And most people, a lot of people, are not trying to synchronize, are not trying to strive to comprehend coincidences and relationships. Now, Incompassstandment, the core to Incompassstandment is a mathematical equation. This is an equation that is going to shift everybody into the age of knowledge acquisition. And this is a mathematical problem that even the highest spiritual, the highest intellectual people, some of the best hearts and minds, even they get this equation only partially correct, therefore incorrect. To encompassstand something is to truly be in all places at all times, which is not necessarily possible, but it's a place you have to strive to be. So you have to see the connections of the ins and outs, the opposites, the positives and negatives, the male and female, the ending and never ending. You have to be able to see the relationships between fact and fiction. You have to be able to see the trifecta. You have to be able to ascend past the duality you have to strive to not only, this is part of the mathematical equation I'm getting to, is not only understanding something. Don't just strive to understand everything. And then don't think that striving to understand is the highest form of comprehension. Because you can take this sword right here. You can understand everything there is to understand about this sword and barely comprehend it. And then you have other people that go to the opposite end of the spectrum and they're like, oh, you can't understand it, you gotta overstand it. And then they leave the understand behind. They know about the understand, but they're like, nah, forget that. I'm about that overstand. And then you have the even deeper people, more in-depth people that are like, you know what? I see y'all overstanding and understanding, but understand this. And encompass stand is all that. Encompass stand, you can understand, you can overstand, you can understand, but you may never truly be able to encompass stand. But it's about the strivation. This is what encompass standing is about. It's about a never-ending strivation. That mathematical equation I was talking about. You can't just understand things. Let me get straight to the equation. And this is the equation that is used by so many. I really want to say all, but I don't use this equation for the highest purpose of comprehension, and that is 2 plus 2 equals 4. This is a way of understanding 2 plus 2 equals 4. But when you encompass stand, you realize also that 2 plus 2 doesn't always just equal 4. This is where you have to realize there's different kinds of math, and it's not very complicated. What's taught to us is all non-intersecting math. Non-intersecting math is math that you do with the idea that nothing is related. So when you do 2 plus 2 in non-intersecting math, you understand that as 4. But when you strive to encompass stand things, you see that 2 plus 2 in intersecting math can easily equal 5. In this mathematical equation, which I'm going to get into more depth as I keep going along, not with just these videos, but in life. It's not something I really present to a whole lot of people. It's non-intersecting math and intersecting math, but it's something that I'm always thinking about and working towards. And so in intersecting math, let me give you an example here. Across. So you have 1 and 1. That's 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. Add 2 together, you have 1, 2 on the top, 3, and then 4 on the bottom. And then you have 5, simple. intersecting math, when you arrange 2 plus 2 in this arrangement, you also have 2 plus 2 equaling 5, with the 4 exterior and the 1 overlooked interior. That gives you the 5. And this, if you can strive to encompass-stand this, will unlock all into the age of acquisition. And that works with every shape that I just showed you right there. With the hexagram, the Star of David. Everybody, pardon moi, most people see that Star of David and they think automatically a hexagram, a 6, you know. And then this is a coincidence right here that is part of encompass-standing, where you have to synchronize everything. The fact that it's called a hexagram. Why is the word hex over the word gram? And everybody, which when you think hexagram, you think only 6. When actuality, a hexagram can easily be interpreted also as a 7, with your 6 exterior and your 1 overlooked center interior. This is the connection between the seen and unseen. That's where truth and reality blends, is through geometry. It shows you. I could go on for a long time. I would love to go on for a long time about this. But this is just the introduction. Who am I? I'm nobody. And it's a nobody that is closest to the access of source. You know, people may say in the future, Justin, where do you get your sources from? And I can only tell you that my sources come from inside. It's an internal source. It's an energy that runs through me. A creative energy that has me no different from anybody else, other than the truth that I pick up on subtle things. And you have to strive to encompass-stand. There's fact, there's fiction, and then there's truth. The trifecta. Now, before I end this video, I want to show a diagram. This is very important right here. Of the utmost importance. If you are interested in the tree of life, the flower of life, sacred geometry, you might want to take a screenshot of this, zoom in on this, and kind of look it over. This right here is tied into a lot of things. One thing mainly is the Last Supper. This geometrical pattern is the same representation as Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. Let me show you in a different fashion. Let me show you something. I don't know if you can see the relationship. I wasn't planning on giving a presentation quite like this, but I just want to show you, when I say this is the same representation as the Last Supper, you have all your apostles surrounding Jesus in the middle. That center point this is Jesus. Which all this right here simply represents abilities. You have your 12 disciples, and when they come together in a certain mathematical arrangement, they create Jesus in the middle. For example, myself, Aries, this is the top right here, which would be technically Aries would be right there where that light is above the head. This is my astrological sign. And if I were to couple with the feet, maybe possibly even below the feet, Pisces. Now that I think about it, Pisces probably is slightly below the feet. But I'm just thinking out loud. Regardless, the point is, Pisces represents 12, 12. Aries represents 1. The Apostle Peter represents 1. The Apostle Judas, the 12th apostle. So you have a Pisces come together with an Aries, could potentially make a 13. And this is, I'm kind of getting straight to the point with encompassstanding and striving to encompassstand things, as especially with numbers, in particular numbers that we see a lot, like the number 13 and the way we perceive the number 13. If you think about it, here in the region of the United States, I'm in Columbus, Ohio, The number 13, is there a number more negative than the number 13? And the answer possibly could be yes, because the mark of the beast. Some people might think that in a more negative term, but I think subtly 13 is possibly up there or more with the negative connotation of a number. Friday the 13th, lucky number 13, the baker's dozen. Why is it the baker's dozen? Speaking of the baker's dozen, this is the baker's dozen. Jesus is the baker's dozen. This is also alchemy. This is Kabbalah. And Kabbalistically, what I'm showing you right here is a completed tree. Because most of the time, pretty much you've never seen a full Kabbalistic tree, top to bottom. Most of the time, it's incomplete. You haven't been shown these bottom, or this 3 right here, typically is missing. And all I've done is just leveled it out, put those 3 in. So we have balance. The same way Da Vinci showed us with the Last Supper. Here's your mathematical equations to equal your Jesus. Virgo plus Libra. This is your Union 76 gas station is trying to show you. Why is it Union? On. Union 76 gas station. Why 76? So you can achieve Jesus. 13. Leo 5 plus Scorpio 8. 13. Now this I've highlighted on my little chart for myself here. I've highlighted this in several ways. This is the Cancer plus the Sagittarius. Now mind you, none of this stuff is for sure. This is just stuff that I developed that feels right to me based off of the things that I know to be true at my age of now about to be 40. And I've looked into everything. I've never been scared to search for the truth. So Cancer plus the Sagittarius, the 9, which this is the 9 right here on the bottom. Now, if you notice, this is a hexagram. All this is a hexagram with a hexagram. And the hexagram, the way, this is another way. 6 plus 6 doesn't always equal 12. And actually, an hexagram plus a hexagram, separately, non-intersectingly, if you add those together, that's 14. Because you got to add that overlooked center. 7 plus 7. A hexagram plus a hexagram is 14. But when it's intersected and arranged in a certain way, when you have a part of this hexagram on the bottom here over or underlapped with this top hexagram, now you have 7 plus 7 equaling 13. Now this is going to be a little difficult for people to comprehend because they're going to try to understand it. Typically, let me not assume that you're not going to try to encompass-stand it, but typically we're educated to only understand things. And encompass-standment, you have to use your heart with your mind at the same time. This is very important with encompass-standment. You cannot attain Incompassstandment if you're not coupling the heart with your mind. The education system teaches you to be all in the mind. And you kind of have a heart until you get out there and you work a job in the real world and you want to move up. And you're like, man, they're doing heartless things, but this is what I thought I was going to do my whole life, or this is what I feel like I can only do to earn my income to pay the bills. So let me forget in my mind and heart the things that I felt like I would never do. This is work. Work is work. Gotta work. Can't argue with the boss. See, me, I've been one that has quit many jobs and got fired, and I just refuse to accept there's too many jobs out there. I don't get attached to no corporation, no company, only the people. There's a lot of people I meet along the way working these jobs that I'm very thankful to have worked these jobs, but at the same time, I'm disgruntled working these jobs, as I should be. Not necessarily you should feel that way, but I should feel that way because that's how I feel. So, and that's basically whatever happens is the way things are supposed to happen. We have to really strive to comprehend. Don't just understand things. Don't just understand or overstand or understand. You need to strive to encompassstand, which is you locate the center, you claim the center, you own the center, and now you move out in all directions and come back in at the same time, simultaneously. And it's not, like I said, it's not something you can actually do. You're doing this mentally. You have to think of your mind as a computer, and you're running a probe, a scan, like a sonar scan, from your mind and your heart outwards in all directions and back into your center inwards. This is Incompassstandment. So how can Incompassstandment, how can I apply this to my everyday? This is something I ask myself. Why? Why have I developed this? For what reason have I developed Incompassstandment? Well, I've developed this for the gaining of truth. And also obtaining the ability to do, not necessarily what I want to do, but do what I feel is best for all. Going at 34 minutes. I actually am on vacation right now. I guess I'll get into a quick story on how I'm starting this channel today. So I work at Right Road, and there was kind of a mishap where I'm a single father, and it being spring break this week, my daughter's old daycare wasn't going to have the staff to operate, so I went into my boss to try to let him know, and boy, was he disrespectful to me. And I didn't get disrespectful with him at all back. I just wasn't happy at all. I mean, I can understand he's not happy, but you got to maintain a certain level of professionalism and respect, and he did not do that. So, long story short, I switched my daughter's daycare. She's at the new daycare today. Everything seems to be going fine, which her new daycare is actually her old previous daycare, just under new owner. I can get into that sometime in the future. So, but before I got my daycare fixed, I had already got approved for vacation time for this whole week from April 3rd to the 7th. So I don't have to go back to work till April 10th. So I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel or a live stream channel on Incompassstandment. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but not necessarily this way. I would rather have like in my mind, in a trying to think of the term. If everything were to go the way I wanted it to, I would have put out a book and I'd be out touring, doing comedy. So, and this would kind of be something I did after, but just as important, of course. Anything that I am producing and affiliated with is very important to me. So, but I just thought I was going to do other things first before I started. I mean, not like seriously, because ultimately I'm a single father. I raised my daughter by myself. I've been raising her by myself for 5 years now. It's just me and her, and I have 3 other kids. My 2 boys come over all the time, and I work, so I'm sure most people can comprehend how easy it is to be busy when you have kids, especially when you're single. And especially when you're single and you raise your young child by yourself, and especially when you're a father and you're raising a daughter. So that keeps me very busy, but that kind of got me some vacation time this week because I felt like, the way my boss treated me, he didn't deserve to know that I had daycare set up for this week. So I just used that vacation time and I told myself, hey, it's time to start your YouTube channel, Justin. So here we go. That's how it all got started. And I will never take donations. You'll never hear me asking anybody to hit the like button or subscribe, and that to me, if everybody has their own purpose, but my purpose is to overcome that type of dependency on what we call money. It's more important to me that I just am able to put myself out there and my thoughts and my heart out there. And the things that I put out there are most important to me. So far more important than making money. And I would never want commercials in my stuff. I don't know if I'll have a choice about that. If I have to have commercials, then so be it. But if there's a choice, I would not ever. And they say never say never, and I'm 99.9999% sure I would not put commercials. And I would not ask for Cash App or Super Chat or no. I got to do this without that because there's too much potential for scamming. There's too many people. AI can set up a false I don't know what's going on outside. Can set up a false account of me or somebody, and it's just too easy. And of course, I work a regular job, so I have bills. I struggle, but I don't worry. At least I strive not to. But it's no, this is not. I'm not doing this to bring in Federal Reserve currency. If somebody finds a way to get stuff to me, I'm not gonna turn it down. You know, especially if it's books, because I really do enjoy books whenever I feel like I can get the time. But I'm gonna be doing a lot of stuff. I'm not just gonna be talking. But I feel like I'm probably gonna be doing some meditating. I'll just probably put the camera on me sometimes, and you may see me meditate for an hour. And that may be the only thing you see. I may be cooking. I'm vegan, which I don't like to say vegan. I'm a vegan. I would more like to say I'm veganing. It's just a way. I am not a vegan. That's not who I am, because who I am is all, just like you. So this is something we have to strive to encompass. Stand is what we call ourselves. When you call yourself less than anything than all, then you restrict yourself. So, as far as different type of videos, it might be mostly talking. Could show you new diagrams. I've been working on some of my, there's a lot of different diagrams and geometry, and I might do some book quotes. I might be reading a book and find uh, a passage that needs to be talked about. I read the Bible, and I have to go back, because there's some stuff in the Bible that I definitely would like to read and quote and give my thoughts on about some of the stuff, and in its relation into is the biblical stuff, can it be factually based? And remember, facts aren't always the truth, but you know are some of these things real scientifically in the Bible? Can they be corroborated scientifically? I'll be discussing that stuff and the scientific process itself, and scientism, and how really the best measurement is, you have to look in the words. When you say measurement, when you break this word down, it's me, sure, mint. This is the word we say, measurement. So what is the best me assurement? Is you do it yourself. The best measurements are the ones you measure yourself. So this is what I'm trying to say is, with the scientific process, don't fall for treating the scientific results religiously, and not verifying with your own me assurements, with your own measurements, because we have the ability to do many verifications that we see, even on the math and a lot of this stuff. We can do these experiments and stuff ourselves, but more importantly, you need to do it in your mind. You need to be able to visualize in your mind, not, this is one thing I am not a fan of, is, you have to be able to visualize in your mind what you think the truth is. It's like, for me, there's a discussion about the type of the world we live in, or live on. What is the shape? Do we revolve around the sun? Does the sun revolve around us? And I can visualize in my mind, I can see very easily that the sun does revolve around us. But this is another thing that I was going to get into is, the whole geosynchron, the flat earth and the globe, man. It's just like, I definitely am going to be discussing it because I have a lot to say. One thing is, a lot of people, when they discuss it, they'll say, oh, it's not flat, it's round. And one thing we're going to be moving into is a realm of an age of specificity, where you're going to be able to communicate better what you mean to intend. Because when you say the world is not flat, it's round, you're still stating that it's flat. Because round is not a sphere. So that's just one thought right off top about that discussion. So I'm going to be discussing everything. I think right now, so I'm on vacation time. Maybe I'll make another video tomorrow. I need to get some exercise in today. Since I'm on vacation, it's very important. Maybe I'll show you guys some of my bike rides. I'm going to get on the bike path here in Columbus, Ohio. I recommend everybody get on the bike. You have to get that exercise. You can't just be a person that's all spiritual or all educational, and just like you can't be a person that's just all physical and all muscular and all fit. You really have to find your level. So I haven't been exercising as much as I would like to have been the last few months. And today it's going to be 60-some degrees and mostly sunny here in Columbus. And I am a big bike rider, especially on these decent days. We're probably looking at about, it's almost 10:30, springtime. So I'm going to get I'll probably be out there, let's say if I leave by 11, I'll definitely be back by 3, because I have things to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll be out there 4 hours. For 4 hours, I'll probably put in a good 30 miles at least for 4 hours. And I'll be loving it. So it's been nice to be able to start this video. And I know me doing this, giving out my information, is not only going to help others ascend in many ways, but it's going to help me be able to do more of what I need to do. Sometimes I feel like more of what I need to do is not be at work so much. I'm trying to find a way to not be at work, and where I can actually spend more time reading and meditating and doing these videos and doing my comedy, doing stand-up and working on my books. Because that's what I feel like I need to be doing. But I also realize the world always provides you with exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So you need to find a way to enjoy the moment, whether it's good or bad. And this is very difficult sometimes when it's really bad. So try to learn from the good and the bad. Don't avoid the bad. I mean, not necessarily in all cases, I wouldn't say don't avoid the bad because, you might be able to save somebody's life. That's what I'm saying is like, don't avoid it if you can save somebody's life. So I'm going to get out there, get my exercise in. You're in my office right now, in my apartment where me and my 6-year-old daughter live. She's at daycare right now. And this is my office. And my bedroom is in a door that you cannot see right there. Going up another flight of steps. And I've painted my whole apartment in the color spectrum. As you can partially see, the walls in here are blue, but if you go past that, the walls in that hallway are orange. And if you can see in the bathroom is yellow, the kids' room is green. You go downstairs, it's orange red. You go in the kitchen, it's red. You go up to my room, it's so we got the blue in here. Then we got the indigo. We got the indigo going up the steps. And then we got the purple in my room upstairs. So, which is following the Kabbalistic color pattern. Also the flower of life pattern, where at the bottom is red, orange, yellow. At the heart is green, which I made my kids' room green because to me they are the heart. Then you have the blue, the throat. And then you have the indigo right there. And then you have the purple above the head. So that's how I've painted my entire apartment, which is 4 levels. I have a basement, which is also painted red, but I want to paint it something different. I've been contemplating. I've been in this apartment for almost 5 years. I really enjoy my apartment here. My boys come over every Wednesday. I get them. And they come also on Saturdays and spend the night. Saturday nights. And then they go back to their mom on Sunday. And my oldest daughter is grown. And I am a grandfather. Yes. So my oldest daughter is grown and she has my granddaughter Taylin, who her birthday is in about 5 days on April 8th. So I love my kids very much. And my kids have always been life-changing, number one for me. Before I had my oldest daughter, Trinity, I was on a path of destruction, self-destruction. At 18, I was incarcerated in Ohio at a Southeastern Correctional Facility. I was sentenced there for 3 years for burglary. I broke into my first apartment when I was 4 with my mom. My mom, who I love very much, and I'm thankful for my mom, but wasn't the best influence on me as a kid. But you can't let that influence be an excuse to not do the right thing once you get to a certain age. So I broke into my first apartment when I was 4 years old with my mom. I'm not sure, but I assume it was because possibly over she felt like the guy that we broke into his apartment, he lived upstairs, we lived downstairs. He lived in like the attic apartment, and his name was Pee Wee. And I don't know if my mom was smoking crack, and I don't know if they had a drug deal. Something happened, but she felt like Pee Wee owed him some money. They had an argument. He said, F you, get out of here, beat it. And she was like, okay. So when he left, my mom grabs me and she grabs like a knife and she wedges his door open with the knife, and we go through Pee Wee stuff and we're looking for stuff. I thought it seemed like she was looking for money, but I don't know if she found drugs. She found something. So, and then we left, and we left out that day, and we went shopping, and we came back, and the police were at Pee Wee's apartment upstairs, and we talked to them as we went into our apartment. And my mom told me, of course, you better shut up, don't say nothing. So I didn't say a word. As the police talked to my mom said she didn't know nothing, and they seemed like nobody really ever suspected my mom of doing that. Like, I don't know if Pee Wee ever suspected my mom of doing that. I don't think Pee Wee lived there much longer. I'm not sure why, but so, long story short, that happened at 4. By the time I was 18, I was on my way to being incarcerated in prison. But also at the same time, my daughter was going to be born about 8 months into my sentence, my 3-year sentence, which I ended up getting out early. I ended up doing okay. I stayed out of trouble at Lancaster, aka Gladiator School. I actually impressed my teacher so much because I was 18 at the time. When you're under 21, they make you go to school there on the prison grounds to their little school and get your high school degree. So when I went there at 18 years old, and I was determined to get my high school diploma. So I think I was determined to get my GED. Sorry, not my high school diploma. That's what I got, was the GED. So I started studying for the GED every day. So I had, all these other 18 to 21-year-olds in this class, Mr. Hockman's class at Lancaster. Mr. Hockman said he had been there over 30 years, big overweight guy, and I'd go in there and I open a book and all these guys would be around me making all this noise, and I'd just be sitting there studying. Every now and then I'd get up and I'd go ask Mr. Hockman a question, and I'd be writing and taking notes. And then like slowly after like a few weeks, like I noticed like other people started kind of like studying. Like they got tired of horse playing around. Like you got old, like they realized like some of them were going to get back out on the street and they needed a GED, and they saw me. So I think I had an influence on the class, where I think Mr. Hockman even said something to me. It's like, man, he's like, in 30 years, I've never seen anybody like you, Justin. Like, you're the only one that came in here and studied in 30 years. But by the time I left, there was other people studying. But Mr. Hockman had been there over 30 years, and he said he never saw anybody study. So, long story short, when I got my opportunity to be what they call shock parole or judicial release, which is an early release, I went in front of the judge. And I think Mr. Hockman told me, I told him I was trying to get my early release, and he was like, oh, really? You're getting your early release, So by this time I was like, I don't know, 8 months into my sentence at Southeastern Correctional Facility, and I was talking to Mr. Hockman, and I told him I should get the early release. He's like, oh, you trying to get the early release, huh? Oh, don't worry about that. No, you're going to get it. Oh, yeah, I'll make sure of that. Like, you're gonna make sure. How are you gonna make sure of that? Oh, don't worry about it. I got it. So I go in front of the judge to get my early release in Franklin County, Columbus, Ohio. At this point, I think I'm probably 19. Yeah, I'm 19 for sure. I've been in the big boys, been out there with the big boys, watching all kind of crazy ass shit in prison. Big ass pods over there, 200 some people, just crazy shit. And I go in front of the judge, and he's like, Mr. Patchy. That's my name. Justin Patchy. He's like, Mr. Patchy, you must have really impressed somebody over here because you got a letter of recommendation from the warden for early release. And my judge, I think his name was Judge Bessie. Judge Bessie. Cool dude. I mean, he's all right. You know, he really could have stroked me big time. I mean, big time. So I had to say he's all right. I mean, you know, he's a judge, so I'm sure he did some messed up stuff to get where he's at, but he could have did me worse. I'm not saying he was a good person, but Judge Bessie, I'm pretty sure he was on the 6th floor, could have threw the book at me. So I go back in front of Bessie, and he's like, I've never seen this before. You got a recommendation from the warden for early release. And I'm looking like, I mean, Mr. Hockman didn't tell me that specifically that something like that was going to be done. So I'm assuming, like, I'm thinking when I'm there, like, I'm putting two and two together, like, I'm thinking like Mr. Hockman must have went to the warden, and we had just got a new warden at Lancaster, so I don't know. I think it was the new warden who I did meet the new warden. I did meet the new warden briefly. I forget why. It seems like I did have to go talk to him. So it's like, you know, he seemed like the type of dude that definitely don't forget a mother. You know, he don't forget somebody. This warden, this black dude. And but I didn't know I was gonna get this early recommendation. And Judge Bessie was saying it's something that never happened. So long story short, that's part of my, but also as a child, you know, the reason why I was able to turn it around and overcome all that stuff is because my dad, you know, my dad lived in California. My mom lived here in Ohio my whole life. So my mom moved from Los Angeles when I was 4 back to Columbus. I was born in Los Angeles, and then my mom moved back to Columbus when I was 4. So starting at age of 4, I would fly back to California every summer. I would fly at the beginning of the summer and then come back at the end of the summer. I did that every year until I was 8. When I came back when I was 8, I flew over for the summer. And then I came back when I was 8. And I started 3rd grade. About a couple weeks in the 3rd grade, I was basically removed from my mom and went to go live with my dad pretty much permanently from the age of 8 to the age of 18. I did come back to live with my mom for 1 year when I was 13. I stayed for 1 year, and then I kind of ran away after a year. Went back to my dad and stayed there. So, but my dad was a black man. My mom was white person, and I don't get caught up in color. I'm just trying to help you guys get some visual perspective because I don't consider myself black or white. You know, Justin, you got to stop saying, you know. So, my dad was a very responsible person, unlike my mom. It's really ironic because they were literally like night and day. My dad was a journeyman electrician, made very good money, owned his own houses, owned rental properties, owned businesses, had me working in his businesses with him, had taken me out doing electrical work with him, like doing all of this responsible learning stuff, learning how to talk to people. My dad really didn't have a lot of idea how bad my mom was, like how bad she had, the type of influence, you know, because I got in a lot of trouble growing up with my dad, like crazy stealing stuff. You know, my dad was like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you, like, I would even steal from my dad, like, and he still forgave me, you know. My dad busted me a few times, like, I was really, so, you know, I'm just trying to give you perspective on my background, on how I got to where I'm at right here. You know, also to kind of help validify that, you know, I am a real person. Nowadays, with all the technology, it's kind of getting difficult to tell the fake from the real. So this will further help validify my realness. You know, I do anticipate on becoming well known. I guess that's why I say this validifies my realness, because once people start to strive to comprehend just that diagram that I displayed, if you can get a good look at it and kind of freeze it and hold it and zoom in on it, and if you're, especially if you're Kabbalistic savvy or alchemy savvy, you know, and if you've seen that, that would really spark something. And then the other thing, if somebody can grasp what I was talking about with the 2 plus 2, not always just equaling 4, those two things right there eventually are going to lead to a lot of attention coming my way. It's just inevitable, because these are things that are not being projected. And I am accepting the responsibility to project them. My goal, my purpose is to do what I want to do. That's my purpose. But I know my ultimate purpose is to do whatever it is I do, you know, every day. You can't have a big plans, big ideas, if you're not working on successfully accomplishing little plans and little ideas every day. All right, so you'll have a little background on me, a little biography on me, a little introduction on me. You know where I'm at, you know where I come from, you know, essentially, quintessentially, fundamentally, why I'm here is to bring us to a specificity, is to be able to be more specific, to synchronize things, to strive for encompassstandment ultimately. And what good does encompassstandment do for you in everyday life? Well, it makes things a little bit more difficult sometimes. So just to be truthful, if you're concerned about too much difficulties, then maybe striving to encompassstand things are not for you. I'm just being truthful. Everybody has its purpose, you know. If you want to be a person that strives to not encompassstandment, then that is your purpose. And your purpose is ultimately written in the heart. So you think you make choices every day, but really you've made choices a long time ago. So if you want to change, if you really want to change something about you, then you have to really be able to sort of time travel forwards and backwards. But if you want to activate the highest power, you have to live in the now. And once you are dwelling in the now, therefore you've won and you've become one and you own that. And with that, I got an itchy eye. I will end this introduction. Infinite love to all. And I look forward to seeing you again. And thank you.